Hey, good evening, racers. Tonight I'll be going over the RaceOwl Racer app. It's a new release, version 4.0, and it's got a lot of new features. It really is reminiscent of the Pro Paddler app, if you know what that one was. It has a lot of the features that was in there and a lot more that have been added for safety and for just integration with the overall RaceOwl system. Let me start the app up. Okay, fundamentally, this is a tracker app. It is meant for participants, not for people who are watching the race. So if you're a spectator, don't use this app. You want the RaceOwl app, which is for spectators and for admins and such. This one is for racers. It is a tracker. So it's going to take the GPS location that you're at. It's going to beam that up to RaceOwl so that we can see where you're at and track your position in the race, as well as do anything safety-wise we need to do to keep you safe. If you look at the screen here, you're going to see some color coding at the top. If it's red, it is not tracking. It is designed to track only when you are near the race event and only near the race event dates. So it will be red when it's not tracking. When it's green, that means it is tracking. There's also a error mode, which is yellow. If you see that, there's something wrong with your setup. You'll need to go and fix that. Um, Usually it's going to be you haven't entered some of the information you need, like your racer number or your name, something like that. Okay, let me go over registration real quick. So you see this menu here. You will have the various different things you can do with RaceOwl Racer. Um, First thing you would do is go to registration, where you would then put in various different information for you to identify you to the race. So you've got the race event, you've got your division, racer number, a phone number. This is important. We're going to need that. That's how we identify who you are relative to the race. So you can always delete it later, but for right now, we're going to need that as you go. Any team name you want, and then a first and last name. This can actually be an alias if you want. You don't need to put your real name in there for that. Down here are other tracking devices. If you wanted to enter a satellite tracker, those things are always nice to have. Avoids having to do the care and feeding that a phone needs. Once you do that, you'll press register. It'll go off register to the event, and then you're off and running. At that point, then all you really have to do is show up to the race and have the app on. Don't turn the app off. Always have it on. If you're not interested in this stuff like navigation, I would highly recommend you put it in screen off mode, like put the app into home, don't exit it, but just screen off so you can save some battery, and then it'll be a tracker for the duration of the race. It does run in background mode so that it is always on until you exit the app. The background tracking is pretty good. It will, if you run out of cell data, it will still be recording. It will save it off into its memory, and then when it finds a cell signal, it'll then beam that up to RaceOwl. You will see here the locations that is sent, and any unsent locations queue up until it can actually send it when it finds a cell tower. Okay, let's go and get to a race. So I'm going to start it on a race that's running right now, and I'm going to move our simulated location to that location. You'll see it turn into a green, so it will start tracking when we get close. So I move the race, it starts tracking. I'm now in the river where this race is at. You'll see here, um, this acts a lot like the old RaceOwl Racer app. I'm sorry, the RaceOwl Pro Paddler. You can ping your location anytime to send a location, doesn't hurt. And if you want, you can always go to the map and see where you're at. On this map, it will show you, you'll notice this is a tile map, so we used to have just the reduced map with stiff figures. I actually prefer that for racing, especially at night. It's easier on your eyes and actually much better on your battery too. So this would be good for like general information. You'll see right here a basic change to the app. Not just the map, but you'll see it overlays the various different objects that might be hazards. It'll show you things like the checkpoints you're going by. It'll show your avatar. Here is the zoom, so this is 5.2 miles out. You can change that to kilometers if you so desire. That's in the settings menu. If I want to go to metric, I can go here and select metric, and I'll be back in kilometers. One new thing here is you'll see these red zones. These are hazards. So the race administrator has set up hazards that might be things that you want to keep away from. On a river race, it might be like a dredging operation or someplace that has some debris. It also shows barge traffic that will be coming down the river. You'll see that coming, and it'll have a big moving red ribbon that goes along with it. It says keep out of this zone, because right here in the green, this is where the barge is going to go. You want to be away from that over here, like behind a wing dam or whatever it is that you want to hide behind, but don't stay where that barge is. An option here for the RaceOwl Racer is it also will show other racers and where they're at. Like for instance, this little blue dot here is another racer on this race course. If you click on it, you'll see some of that information as far as who's ahead of you or behind you. All right, so up here you have various different settings. You can pick any one of these metrics you can choose, like cross-track is usually good. That shows you how far you are from the center of the race course and the route. Always useful information. That's usually where you'll find the fastest water if you're on a river race. Lots of choices here. These are also what is spoken to you if you so desire to hear it. So if you go here and then turn on your voice monitor, it will say to you these values and these metrics. Also in here is a channel monitor. If you go beyond, you'll see here you've got the routes, and this little green line, that's the warning track, if you will. If you go beyond that and get outside of that, she'll start talking at you and say, go left, go right, get back in the channel where you've got the faster water. So that's always an option. I find it a little bit annoying, but it's actually fairly useful sometimes, especially when you have it in home mode or the screen is off. The voice feedback is really important. That's what saves your battery and what kind of keeps you up at the race without having to have that screen on all the time, because that will suck that battery down in no time at all. Navigation through this, just swipe left, swipe right. You've got some main screen here for tracking information, speeds and so forth. You've got the main map. One thing here on the main map, go back to the reduced map if you want. This is where I want to be. So you can see here it's got what used to be a Pro Paddler and just the nice reduced map with just the basic information. And then swipe one more, you'll have a big display which will show you some metric of your desire. You can also rotate that screen if you want and get that to what you want to set your phone at. Okay, that's the basic three things that you swipe between and where I expect you would spend all your time relative to racing. Everything else is setup or things you don't need to go to very often. Let me step through that. First and most important is SOS DNF. So this is new for this version where you can go and request help immediately. This goes right to a dispatcher, which can get a safety person to you. You press that, you give what's going on, and then confirm it. That will go directly to the dashboard for safety, and they can then dispatch help to you. They'll probably call you first just to see what's up, but you'll have that. You can call them directly. This one doesn't have a number yet set up, or you can text in the race officials as you need to, or withdraw from the race. All right, back to this. Notifications. This is new as well. If we have something like some hazard coming down the river, we can actually send a message, and that will show up here on this list. For time's sake, I won't do that right now, but there's several levels of that. It will speak it. If it comes in as a message, it'll speak it to you. And that's a handy way to have things. There's also different levels of importance. There's a normal information, there's a warning, and there's a danger. Danger is like there's a storm coming, get off the river. Okay, check in, check out. This would be for manual check in, check out. I would really rather people do this as a last resort. This is meant for racers only. As you come into a checkpoint, you would check yourself in, check yourself out. Nothing has changed there. That's the way it always has been. But if you're tracking, this is very optional. Checkpoints and splits. This shows you the various different checkpoints and distance thereof, as well as your ETAs to those. Also, it has things like you can switch between the main checkpoints and like checkpoints, which are just access points. So if you want to meet a ground crew at someplace that's not official, you can click that here and it'll give you like information such as how far are you to it and what time you expect to be there. Another feature here is if you were to enter rest, you could say, I'm going to spend such and such amount of time here. Like I might plan on sleeping at Franklin Island for 5 hours, and then that will add it into what we call the plan speed, which is you can actually say, I want to finish the race, and we'll say 80 hours, and it will account for planned rest times and give you a plan speed that you have to maintain in order to meet your goal. It's just a nice little feature you can use to help you stay on course. You would then set that back here. You'll find plan speed here, and you want to stay above that if you want to meet your time once you put that in there. All right, as checkpoints and splits, already talked about registration, and then settings. These are all the various different things you can do with a RaceOwl Racer app. Again, things like the theme. You know, when you go light or you want to go dark, you can do that here now. High contrast colors, this is a holdover. It'll turn everything really, really high contrast on the screens, so it's easier to see in the daytime. Metric versus English. This is where you would set your finish line goal if you want. It's got some features here like a metronome and a repeating timer if you're going to use it to, a lot of times I like this for like switching back and forth. If you're in a boat and you switch sides, you can do that on a timer so you keep your crew all in line. This is new. The battery saver is such a key feature. It's going to be experimental. If you take it to 0, it does just like what it's always done. The Racer app will attempt to send every message out as soon as it gets it and send it right to the server. The problem is, as you are close or far away from cell towers, that becomes expensive battery-wise if you're further away, and it has to crank up the power to be able to communicate. So a handy thing is this buffer, which says, I'm going to wait at least 30 minutes until I get a good signal, and then it will send that data across. RaceOwl is really good at estimating, so it's really, you can't even tell it from a RaceOwl system point of view, but this saves your battery quite a bit. At least that's my belief. Map fidelity, you can pick that here as well as on the map screen. That's the going between the stick figure or the tiled map. By the way, that tile map is downloaded. So if you go into a spot where you have no cell data, that data is saved off, and it will just pull it up and use it as it is because it's saved to your phone. Mirror the map. This is handy if you are a rower and you're going backwards. It's like a rear view mirror. So very good there. The voice feedback, this is where you would enable it, and this is very important. The interval, they will say, or she'll say whatever it is at this interval, like a 30-minute interval for status, or as fast as every 30 seconds. Show other racers to turn them on or off. You're going to use their team name or their boat number. Cross-track monitor, that's the thing that says get back left or right. And this is the width of the warning track. You can shrink that down if you really want to. If you're racing on the MR340, you can have that be actually quite large. 60 feet is kind of a happy spot that keeps you away from all the hazards out there. So I prefer 60 feet, do what you will. In simulations, this is really interesting to run if you're off river and you want to see how the app works. Turn this thing on and it will take you out of tracking mode, and you'll see back here, actually this is a good example of a barge, right? So see this red? This is simulating a barge coming by and the wake it provides. We're actually past it, but now we're in, zoom out enough, I will see the really big barge moving, and you'll see a wake coming off of it, and then this red moving geofence that says beware, this is kind of danger zone. So that's again a new feature safety-wise that hopefully will help us out a bit as far as keeping people safe. But yeah, the simulation though will take you and simulate the river even if you're not on it. Back to settings. Simulation start position, you can move that all the way up and down. So if I want to be at the start, I move it over here. If I want to be at the end, I could go here, go back, and I'll be someplace wherever that is. Looks like I am moving towards the finish line, towards St. Charles there. All right. Bounding boxes, that's where you're going to start recording your position. If you turn these on, you'll see the bounding box around the race. If you are inside of that, it will be recording your position. If you're outside of that, it will not. That's the point where it starts recording. Reverse course, this would be if you're going upstream, which that's usually for safety boats and people that actually have motors. The width of the line, this is just basically dressing up the map, making things easier to see. Change your white line width, your racer style, your scale, the objects around you, how big the other racers are, how big the barges are, the text is, etc. And this is actually new. You can change where you put your avatar. So for instance, if you're going backwards, you actually might want to have it up towards the top of the screen versus at the bottom. So you can move it up here. And then as you go back to the race, you'll see your avatar way up here at the top versus at the bottom. So adjust that as you will for your particular condition. That's about it. That's a really quick overview. Again, if you have any questions or concerns, find bugs, let me know, and we'll get them fixed. Have a great race. Thanks.